Hello.
Hello.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Anybody get snow where they were? Just a lot of rain.
Just lots of rain. Just lots of rain.
Yes, we as well here.
But you have a beautiful tree up, I see.
Yes, I had it up before Thanksgiving.
Oh
Wow.
my word. Oh,
What else did I have to do?
Boy,
So
oh,
are you still in the Christmas spirit?
I am.
Good, good, good. We all have to be.
yes.
Absolutely. And I don't take it down until the 31st of January.
Wow.
Really?
So my holiday here, it goes for a long time.
Have you always kept the tree up for that long?
I didn't put it up as early,
Okay.
but the last 2 years I've been putting it up earlier, and then for some reason this year I said, why not? I couldn't have a big family Thanksgiving, so
Yeah. No, that's true. That's very true.
spent my time decorating the tree.
I'm debating whether to put a tree up at all. Not there yet.
Get it up, Jim.
Oh yeah, it's been I did a couple of years without it.
Yeah. I need to do it because it definitely creates a positive atmosphere.
Sure
in the house.
does.
It does.
Yes.
See your name there, and so your video is not on. See if we can do- here we go.
There we go. We see you.
Okay, all right, good. Even recognize the mask, huh?
You might need to move it over a little bit, Reverend Edwards, so you can center yourself.
Okay.
There you go.
All righty.
Trina, you're on twice. I think,
Am I?
Reverend, you can take off your mask as far as I'm concerned.
Okay.
I don't know how I did that.
Now Bill Colick looks like Trina Brown Hicks.
I could never. I'm sorry.
Got two treated about it.
Tall order.
We're doing it right to
Well,
6
I don't know
o'clock
what
to
to
start,
do
right?
about that, so I'm gonna leave it
There you go.
alone.
Just got to fix it. Just fixed it. It's okay now.
Okay.
Reverend Edwards, how are you?
I'm doing fine. How are you?
Doing wonderful. Thank you.
Trying to stay safe.
Yes, we all need to do.
Yes, yes.
Reverend, we're a good 12 feet apart. You can take off your mask if you like.
Okay. Okay, good, good. Okay. I'm so used to grabbing when I go out the door. So. Yes. Watch it right. I have like 5 minutes to 6 on that.
Mhm.
That clock's a little bit off.
Oh, 3.
Oh.
Rob, how you doing?
I'm doing well, Bill. Thanks. How are you doing?
Good. Anne Marie, you doing okay?
I think she's got her picture up because she's
Okay.
probably trying to grab
I'm
a
doing
cup of
well.
coffee.
I'm just finishing my dinner.
Okay.
So I've muted myself so you don't have to listen to me chew.
I got you.
Well, I had a quick dinner. I'll probably eat again when I get home.
Okay.
Well, it'll be time for dessert when I get off the meeting, so.
Oh, really? You done ate, huh? Time for dessert?
Yeah. Oh no, it says my internet connection is unstable. I hope I don't lose y'all.
Anne Marie, did we manage to communicate to Dee that she was confirmed? Do you know?
I
Dee
thought,
Lot?
Miss Trina, you talked to her, right?
Talk to who?
Delima Lot?
D-Lot?
Yeah, that she was going to dial in.
Okay.
And Reverend McCafferty asked to be excused. She's having some plumbing issues that she cannot leave right now, so the plumber is working.
Good evening. This is Dee Lot. I've been on.
Excellent. Hello, Dee. Rob.
Hello.
Hi.
And Bishop said he was going to dial in, so I'm not sure if he's made it yet.
Oh, okay.
He's not on yet.
Okay.
So now it's Rachel who's the other Trina. Hello, Rachel.
I didn't hear you say something, Rob. What'd you say?
The two of you now, the second of you is now Rachel. Her name is, I mean, your name is on, oh, there she goes.
There we go.
Rena, I love your tree.
Oh, thank you.
So I've got 6 o'clock, so I don't know. I actually have 6:01 now, so I don't know if you
Oh,
want to get
okay.
started.
Yes, we'll get started, but we got a call to order. It's now, we would say 6 o'clock on December 17th, 2020. We call to order the Lewes African American Heritage meeting to order. We have a moment of silence at this time, please. Amen. Thank you. So we will go right into the meeting with the announcements at this time. Mr. Trent Van Hicks, would you like to do that, or you like me to call it off the announcement?
You can go ahead and do the announcements.
Okay, on Wednesday, the mayor and city council have approved a new member to the commission due to the vacancy of Ms. Nancy Powell. I'm pleased to announce the appointment of Ms. Delima Lott. Ms. Lott was born and raised in Lewes and will enhance the commission with her historical knowledge. Ms. Lott has also been active in other city committees. So we thank Ms. Nancy Powell for your service to this commission at this time. And the presentation and possible actions on the approval of the minutes. This time we have the minutes from the 2019, November 19, 2020 minutes.
Yeah, I so approve.
Second.
It's been approved and second that we received the minutes. A motion has been made. Are there any corrections?
Yes, there is a correction to the minutes. It was mentioned in the minutes that the city manager will work with Ms. Brown Hicks to prepare the budget to be submitted for review. And it should be work with the commissioners. I guess I'm just a vehicle that it's going through. So I just wanted to make sure everyone knows it's not just me.
Would have a
So
motion
that's
to
a
accept the
correction.
minutes with the corrections? Do we accept the minutes as read with the corrections? All right,
Yes,
so
we
then,
accept the minutes with the corrections.
okay, now the meeting items, E1 is the budget. Will I turn over to Ms. Green?
Reverend, can we get a second for the acceptance of the minutes
Aye.
with the corrections?
Second.
Okay, there's been
Okay.
second by Mr. Connick. They will accept the minutes as read. All in favor says aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it.
Aye.
Thank you so much. The meeting items is the budget, number one, which I think is up for consideration.
Yes, we know that the 2021 budget is coming around and so we, as a commission, would like to submit a request, and some of the items that are up for consideration would be 2 dedication plaques. We're hoping to be able to get through some research enough to do 2 dedication plaques for the community. Some giveaways. Ideally, we would like to do a Juneteenth event, ideally outdoors. And possibly 2nd Street, we haven't really gotten that far, based on COVID and the situation there. But if the events have to be held indoors, we did price around town, but the less expensive place would be the Cheer Center in Georgetown. And of course, catering would come with that. There's 2 other possible celebrations that we're looking at, maybe 3. We're also looking at the possibility of having some entertainment, maybe a jazz band or a DJ, a speaker stipend, advertising, promotion, invitation flyers. We're also looking at Ancestry.com and newspaper.com. We're also looking at a banner and award plaques for honorees for one or two of the events that we're looking at. And I'm not sure if anyone else had any considerations for the budget, but those are the things that we've come up with so far. And of course, this information will be submitted to Miss Anne Marie to work and to see what would be approved.
Trina, I would just mention that that maybe there is something that could be done in collaboration with the Historical Society and in collaboration with the 17 Men exhibition that opens February 12th and runs for the full year. It will be at the Lewes History Museum. And the 17 Men exhibition is 17 African-American soldiers in the Union soldiers in the Civil War, and their documentation via their caring for their captain, Captain Prickett. And that exhibition will be up for the full year. So maybe there is an opportunity to do some sort of a joint program. Just throw that out as a possibility.
Yes, okay, I've added that as well. And we were thinking that, and I forgot you had mentioned that before, but we were thinking that we were kind of cutting it close for a February event, but maybe, you know.
Well, and the exhibition will be up for the year. The exhibition will be up for the year to February 2022. So there's plenty of opportunity, and we're hoping that with a vaccine that actually greater programming opportunities will arise later in the year. So there are many options. I just want to make sure that that's on the table.
Absolutely. And is there anyone else who had anything or would like to consider? All right, that's all I have then on the budget piece.
Okay, thank you so much. What we will do then, we go to the Public Arts Committee. That information on that public arts.
Oh yeah, I do. I have some information on that. Reverend Evers, do you want me to say something, or do you want to mention that?
You can mention if you like.
Okay, so the Public Arts Committee meeting, they were discussing and had under consideration a small bench, and they mentioned that on our meeting also, a small bench with a baseball glove somewhere in placement in Ship Carpenter Square, commemorating the square and the use of the square as a ball field and playground, and that honors what it meant to the African American community. And the research continues. I just wanted to let everyone know that I did attend the meeting, and I'll continue to attend a meeting. Anybody can attend as well and hear what the ideas are for that. But I just thought it was interesting. So, you know, not that that's one of their things that they want to look into. So I think they have some more work to do on that as far as permission and maybe acquiring somebody to create or even funding. But it's part of the African American community. So I, you know, took interest.
Reverend Edwards.
Yes, sir.
Ms. Trina Brown, I just, on my iPad here, I see that Mrs. Alicia Jones has had some typing across it, and I don't know what our procedure is as it relates to, do we allow at this time? She had a comment, and I don't know if anybody else saw that or not. I don't know if procedure allows us to have her chime in or not, but I wanted to make everybody aware of that.
If you would like to allow her to speak, I can unmute her for you.
Absolutely.
All right.
Whatever you want her to.
That'd be fine.
There were two comments she had as we were moving along. So before we got any further, I just wanted to acknowledge that, okay?
Right, thank you, thank
Okay,
you.
I saw it, okay.
Thank you, Bill Collick, for noticing my messages. Someone from the Arts Committee reached out to me, and I suggested rather than having a sort of sedimentary, passive sculpture in the park, I saw a beautiful sculpture which was more action-oriented of a pitcher and catcher in the process of the pitcher actually throwing the ball. So I have suggested that to the Arts Committee, and they were mentioning, and I don't remember who reached out to me, but they were concerned about the amount of space. But there's plenty of space right down the middle to show that. And I think you don't think of necessarily baseball players sitting on the bench or a real bench, but I thought that that might be, I don't know the cost, but I like that because it was action oriented. The second thing is, I know that there are Buffalo soldiers in the St. George AME Cemetery. So I wondered if the recognition with the 17 soldiers might be tied into that location as well, because in conversations with Reverend McCafferty, I believe they've actually identified some of the stones. And
Right.
unfortunately, she's not here, but
But
Jim.
Alicia, to that, we are planning on the programming actually having speakers that will talk about the stones, the markers that are in the community. And 6 of these 17 men are from were from Sussex County. And so they are tied to the history of the area. I should have pointed that out if I didn't. But we are definitely planning on having speakers and programming that will tie the 17 Men exhibition into what we already know and recognize about the African American soldiers identified in this area.
And the third thing, I know I was only allowed 2 points, but once you let me on, I can't stop talking. And I want to come back on another matter later, but is the budget. I don't know whether the public is allowed to see the budget, and I'm looking to Rob and Rachel and Ann on this to look at other similar commissions to make sure that your budget reflects items that you might not have thought of that are in other, like the HPARC budget, or just any other budget that might have similar aspirations. Because I think of Xeroxing, I think of other things that you might need to include. So I wonder if that can be done, so it might include other line items that you haven't, really thought of at this point, so that there might be some comparison. So that's my final comment, and I'll come back later. But thank you for recognizing me. Thanks, Alicia.
Can I just
Thank you.
respond to the budget question?
Sure.
The budget is a public document. So we will have a draft budget prepared and presented to Mayor and City Council by February 1st.
Okay.
And we will have, Council has typically about 6 work sessions where they go through line by line, department by department, and have discussions. So there's certainly the opportunity for the commission to have some dialogue with the council over budget requests. Things like postage and copying, that's all just absorbed in the overall city budget. So that doesn't need to be budgeted for. It's really just the projects of the commission.
Well, one thing, of course, I have concern is the oral histories and any support that might be needed in terms of transposing. So that might be unique to this commission. I'm not really sure, having visited the library, but that's what I'm concerned about. And I don't know if you're allowed later in the year to go back and amend the budget should something unexpected come up.
So yes, we are able to amend the budget. We typically amend the budget about halfway through the year.
So what we're doing.
All right, well, thank you very much. I'll go back to being muted, but thank you for noticing me in chat. I wondered, I don't see myself or anybody else as attendees. Is that normal? So that I can't see, as far as I know, I'm the only one in the audience here.
So we actually have 10 attendees in the audience, and that's the way that the system is set up, the
Okay.
software that we use.
All right, thank you.
And thank you, Miss Alicia. We appreciate your comments, and I wrote things down. Of course, I'll go back and look at the video of things that I tend to miss. I tend to go back and look at, but thank you for the information, for consideration, and I have made note of that. And anything else from anyone else, you can let me know, and we'll get that into Miss Anne Marie. The other part of the Public Arts Committee note that I wanted to make is that the co-owner of Peninsula Gallery, Mr. Tony Herron, is planning an exhibition for next February, March timeframe as well. He said it was by an African-American artist named Dane Tillman, who has built a considerable reputation depicting images from the Jim Crow era. And Mr. Herron was wondering if the commission would be interested in becoming involved in some way. So I just wanted to put that out there because he did send an email to that. And if a member of the commission would like to, one of the commissioners would like to contact Mr. Herron and see what more information he can offer to see if that is something that the commission would like to participate in or what. So I just wanted to throw that out there.
I will. I'll call Tony.
Okay.
Wonderful.
I think I have an email address and maybe a phone number as well from the email he sent me. So if you need that, I can forward that to you.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, I do. I don't have his contact.
Okay.
I thank you. If there are any other comments on that, if not, we'll go to the historical marker and an update on Cato and Peter Lewes research. Commissioner Rachel Greer and Reynolds report, and so we'll get some information on that.
Okay, so Trina has been wonderful in tracking down the actual application for the marker and the criteria, and Reverend McCafferty has done some, quite a bit of work. I don't have her work yet, but we're working together also with Rick Moore, who's a member of our community and very interested in this commission. He's also offered to help. So we're moving forward. We have reached out to Russ McCabe, who was the former state archivist and who has been quoted pretty extensively in the Cape Gazette about all the Lewises, Cato, Peter, and Jacob. And so I have reached out to him, and I also have reached out to Denise Clemens to see if we can get her help. So we're moving right along, and are there any questions?
I would also throw in that you might want to include in your outreach Marco Salaveria, our Director of Education, and Andrew Leiter, who's the Director of Museum Programming at the Lewes Historical Society, both of whom have been doing research on this topic as well.
Now, I know Marco. Who was the other gentleman you said?
Andrew Leiter, who is our Director of Museum Programming.
Oh, thank you so much.
Any other comments?
The other thing, Miss Rachel, is one of the things that the application, I saw that the application is specific on is where the marker could be possibly located. So that's another thing that needs to be looked into. And you know, I know we had mentioned that Peter and Cato Lewes had a home somewhere, we believe, on 2nd Street. And also, you know, where he did his shipbuilding may have been kind of across from the cemetery that was donated. So we just need to consider that when putting in the application for the marker, because that's going to be important for part of the approval process is location. And then,
in the article that Russ McCabe, you know, interviewed with Dennis Forney from the Cape Gazette in 2004, he said that the man who took over the first shipbuilder was the slave owner of Cato Lewes, and he had his shipbuilding industry there, and he, you know, taught Cato shipbuilding. They did it together, and then when he died, he left, you know, he left that to the boys and to Cato, and so I'm assuming that is where it was, but maybe Russ can verify that and let me know a little more about that.
And I also think you want, if these are state markers or state historic markers, you have to be sure that they're not, you can't have too many in one area. I mean, the placement is also crucial in respecting where existing markers already are standing.
Oh, okay. Like, could you give me an example? I mean, could it be across the street from the other one?
I can give you an example with the Historical Society, with our main campus. We already have one historic history marker on the grounds, and then there is another marker that has been planned and underwritten to honor Leah Burton and the suffragist movement. And when having a discussion with the state on the approval of this, they were not aware of the previous marker being on the grounds, and so we actually have we'll have three markers on this one site, which is a little excessive.
Yeah, I did see in the criteria where they mentioned that, and they also mentioned multiple markers about the same person, right, or the same thing.
Absolutely. We just want to make sure that we're not replicating, and and that we're also not going to be questioned with regards to the where we propose placement.
Okay, thank you. That's really helpful. Thank you. So that's what I have.
Okay, thank you. We'll move to the review comments and possible action. This the commissioners should have received item A, B, and C for review. And are there any comments concerning the documents for the historical submission?
Let me find that just a second. Okay. So I sent a lot of information, everyone.
Yes, you did.
Accumulation of a year's worth of work, I guess.
You're doing a great job, Trina. Oh my gosh.
Amen. She is.
But the first item, which is the submissions, the submission form is basically the same. We're looking for a formal way to submit items of interest, historic interest. So that's where all of that came from. And we had approximately 20 submissions, and let me just read them real quick. And I know Mr. Moore submitted 3. One was on the Knapp family farm, originally Black owned. Number 2, last Sussex County slave owners. Number 3, Estelle Parker Selby, I'm assuming, and interviewing her for historical reference. And of course, we had Peter and Cato Lewes. We listed Lewes Beach, number 2, segregated era, street names after local African Americans of Lewes. That was Painter, Burton, and Johnson Street Extension. Then the Happy Day Club, Ship Carpenter Square, formerly community held. We had some Black first, which was Ronald Bo Gooch, the first Black police chief of Lewes. George H.P. Smith, mayor. A group called the Jolly Jills Women's Community Organization. We had a Black Justice of the Peace, Robert Handy, funeral director, Robert Miller, other Black-owned businesses, Principal Frederick D. Thomas, the churches, St. George AME Church, St. Paul, Friendship, Education during segregation and beyond, and Black Harry. And then we also had Mills Corsi's Cleaners, and I missed that on this list, but he was one of the ones that was submitted also. So we have a good start. And
Very strong start.
they come in, we'll just list them and prioritize them, and then maybe some of the volunteers would like to work on some of those things. I think one of the volunteers is very interested in working on the education piece, and in fact, there's a couple of educators that may be interested in that piece. So we have quite a bit of work ahead of us that probably could last a while. I'm really interested also in the Lewes Beach piece, in the segregation era of that, because that's also a possibility of a state historic marker if the other one if Peter and Cato Lewes may not work out. We'll see. I'm thinking it will, because we're focusing on Peter and Cato Lewes, and the other ones I think just mentioned him. So mentioned them. So we'll see. So did anybody have any questions about those missions?
Trina, did you say anything about, I missed it, Burton Dunning's garage?
I put that in other Black-owned businesses. That's
okay.
Because I couldn't remember all of but
yeah, he was there for a while. He really was.
So what we could put that under the other Black-owned businesses in the area.
And as well as I remember Mrs. Thelma Paskins, I don't know if you said that or not, she had the beauty salon there. Right. For a long time.
Yeah, that would go under the other businesses as well.
Did you see in the chat that we mentioning our local Bill Collick, coach of Delaware State University?
Oh,
Did I forget? Are you historic, Bill?
I don't know about that. Maybe an age. Maybe an age.
It's worth being there.
Well, you're also a coach at Cape and Lopin. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
That's a lot of history.
With the oral history, are those on that list? Does that also include people that we're doing oral histories with, or is that another list?
Well, so we also have. Well, let's move to the section B, which is the waiver form for all of this. And I sent that out in case anyone had any comments about what we had on the waiver form, or if they thought we needed to include anything else. Ms. Clemens worked with us on the basics of a waiver form. We didn't want it to be too convoluted, but you should have received a copy of that also. And if there were any comments, I think it's pretty basic. We didn't want it to be too, you know, just too much.
Yeah.
So,
Although
I
I think the idea that Andrew Williams put out there of Bill Collick, coach of Delaware State University, I mean, I would definitely consider, you know, him on the list. You can recuse yourself, Bill.
I am.
absolutely. So, of course, anyone who wants to include someone, they can complete the form if we miss folks. And so, of course, I will add Mr. Collick as a historic submission.
Mhm.
Great.
And Alicia put up Elsie Dunning Wingo, who was the
Right,
first Black nurse.
Mhm.
I just didn't list that on the, but I do have her as a submission as
Okay.
well.
Cool.
Moving on to the other piece, we have an oral history template that I had researched and found on the internet, and Ms. Clemens agrees that that's a good working document that we can use when before we actually go out and do oral histories. We probably are going to set up another workshop or training to, she suggested that anyone who would like to do oral histories should probably go through this document. All of these documents that we have, we're looking for the commission for the waiver form and for the oral template, at least to approve the use of those so that we can move them on to the subcommittees. And so the subcommittees can get to work, because they are really anxious to get to work, but we just had to do some prep work before moving everyone out to do research and oral histories. So if you've had an opportunity to look over the oral history template, which asks questions and helps us to prepare to do oral histories, and the waiver form, I'm asking that the commission approve those two so that we can start meeting with the subcommittees and start answering some of their questions as well.
So do you want a motion? Is that what you're looking for? I mean, I so move. I've read through them. Yeah,
I think it's a good, certainly piece to have, Trina, and I commend you for that, and I will second it.
It's been motioned by Ms. Alicia Jones and second by Mr. Bill
No,
Collick.
Miss Rachel Greer
Ms. Rachel,
Reynolds.
Ms. Rachel, I'm sorry.
that's okay. I take that as a compliment. You call me Alicia Jones.
Ms.
She's a friend.
Ms. Rachel Graham Reynolds and Mr. Bill Collick. Can we get a motion on that? On motion have been made. All in favor say aye.
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 Ayes have it, and so it's carried. Thank you so much. We're going to anything else that we need to discuss before we go into the other business concerning the commission bylaws. They were approved, I believe, on December the 15th, 2020 by the mayor and the city council, and will be posted on the Lewes African American Historical Society site along with the mission, the vision, and the goals. Am I right?
Yes.
That's correct. They have been approved by the council.
Good. So then the public comments or questions at this time, if we move forward. Any comments?
Miss Alicia, I think, Miss Alicia, I think she said she had one other thing that she wanted to mention.
Is she connected back up to Miss Alicia Jones?
I don't know if we're revisiting at all the, and Jim is here, the NetReel support. So is that an item on the agenda? And that's one thing I want to speak to.
This is Rob. It's not on the agenda
No.
this month.
Let me ask you, Bob, when we have other, is there a possibility to dialogue on it a little bit, or is that not in order and not proper?
It has to be on the agenda is my understanding.
Okay. So could we get it on the agenda for the 9th then?
Hopefully we can. I don't know whether someone have a comment. You asked that question, can it be put on the agenda?
Yes, we should. I'm sorry, I moved my camera because I was looking to see if I could see anything in the chat. Yeah, we can put it on.
I certainly want to.
We can put it on the, we can put it, absolutely, we can put it back on the agenda.
And
So we're not able to discuss it under the other?
I would think that you're able to address it at the end of this meeting. You have old business and new business, correct?
No, the agenda the items that are being discussed are stated on the agenda. So other is typically, comments, things that you want on future agendas. You're really not supposed to talk about things that are not part of the agenda because it becomes a FOIA violation.
all right, there is, this is for information only. This was something I did this morning. I filed 2 ethics complaints, one regarding the HPARC September 1 approval process. And retroactively, I made a complaint regarding the process involving the West 4th Street application to rename West 4th Street Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard. I sent that out, I think, to at least 2 people on the committee, but I made a formal complaint to the ethics board today.
And
Thank you
just
for that
so
information, Alicia.
Pardon?
Thank you for that information. Typically, complaints to the ethics board are confidential and you're not required to disclose anything.
Well, I don't have a problem
Okay.
releasing confidentiality.
So when is our next meeting?
Our next meeting, it would be in January, I believe.
3rd Thursday in January.
It's always the 3rd Thursday in each month, right?
I
Right,
believe
so
that's
it would be
right.
the 21st, January 21st.
Reverend Edwards,
Yes.
Trina, and everybody else, I am hopeful and certainly want to do things in order and the right way. So I don't know if the time is okay now to do this on the record. I would certainly like to see if we could have some meaningful dialogue about the real for the next meeting.
Okay.
I think so. It's very important that we do a dialogue on that. I've had a lot of comments and people have been even emailing me and sending me letters concerning this real, and I think that it's very important that we discuss it or that we move forward. It's something that's been up for some while, and because it's in the historical society, I think that we should discuss it and move forward with it.
I really think before it's discussed, the Lewes Historic Society needs to work out with the city how they're going to go forward, and then we can get involved. But I don't think it's our place to get in the middle of all that.
I disagree
I
with
know
that.
you do. I know you do. I'm just
Okay,
saying my point.
and I'm going to be heard on that because I do disagree with you. There's nothing wrong with, in the next meeting, having a dialogue about the real that is independent of the discussions between the city and the Historical Society. Nothing.
Can I also like to add, I don't know if any of you saw the December 14th poll by the Cape Gazette.
Yeah, we're not discussing that, Alicia, but what my only point is, Jim, if we talk about it the next meeting, I can see having a discussion about it, but I don't think we need to take any kind of action because I don't think that would be appropriate at this point. I mean, I think at some point it would be very appropriate, but we just, you know, the Historical Society hasn't gotten to that point yet. And once they do, then we can actually take an action, not just talk about it. So,
well, I certainly just want to say that I think it's really worth at least talking about it. And, you know, certainly we can agree to disagree. And I think it's when we become healthy when we can agree to disagree. I really do. So I just wanted to know if we could at least put it on the agenda for the next time, that we could at least dialogue about it. I understand, Mrs. Reynolds, we action-wise at this point in time, certainly we're not there, but I really think it's something that, you know, when I look at this group here, I really am hopeful that we can become a good voice for Lewes. I really do, in some things that maybe have gone on in some direction. And I think it's so important. You guys work hard and put a lot of effort and time in this. So I'm just hoping that we can.
The one thing that I would just caution is that I think for the commission to discuss it and even, you know, have make a statement about the appropriateness of it is one thing, but to the degree that it is a zoning matter, I think you need to be cautious that it doesn't create other issues, because the zoning code is very specific on where the authorities are.
Yeah, I'm fine and okay with that, and certainly don't have to get into the zoning. I just think that it would be great for this commission to at least look at this reel and discuss in an appropriate way some things about this reel. I really do. It's without going any further, this reel is a real pillar in the town of Lewes and for the town of Lewes, and there are many special things about this reel. So I just wanted to say that. I understand the zoning issue.
And also, Trina lost her connection. She just texted me. So if you don't see Trina, that's why.
Okay.
I think she's trying to get back in.
All right.
While she is trying to get back in, I would like to say that when you talk about history, then I think sometimes when we get to the point that we cannot discuss something first, and that's what we're trying to do now. It is history. And I think that we should discuss it. It should be on the agenda. And this will give us plenty of time from today until the next meeting to gather some things in. You'll be surprised of the people that are interested in this history. And people come into Lewes, they talk about history, then people that know about it, I think that they should be heard. I could tell you a lot about it because I will say that I was involved with the rail, I guess, maybe for the last 10 or 12 years because I worked in that area. So I think it's something that we don't want to just talk about it. If it's history, let us make it history. And if you're trying to gather history, then that's something I don't think we should put aside, to say that maybe what it does or doesn't need. But I think it's something that we should understand. If it's history, that's what we are talking about. And if we can work on this up until the next meeting, I think we can come together with something positive.
I agree, Reverend Evans. I always been one to believe that we're never as far apart as we think we are. We really aren't. And someone once said that if two women or two men always agree, one's not needed. So as we go forward with this, let us have open minds and be able to discuss, in a good way, things of this sort.
I mean, I agree with
has her, I'm sorry.
No, I agree with that because I think the Manhattan industry is something that we really, as a commission, need to support, need to partner with on different issues. We also need for the Historical Society to just get their process where they need it to be, and then we can jump on board and be a part of it. And I think part of it could be, Reverend Edwards, you could do an oral history of what you remember about, the Manhattan to be included in the Historical Society's presentation as well, or on their website. I think it'd be awesome. So, I definitely think we need to work with the Historical Society. That's not what I'm saying at all.
Well, but what the tone of what you are saying comes across that the Historical Society is not working with you or not working with others. And to be perfectly clear, we're willing to work with anyone and everyone.
No, I don't feel that's not what I never said.
Well, the tone, I'm sorry, I took the tone of your
well, I don't know.
comments.
I mean, I have no idea what my tone was, but I know after our last meeting, I just felt that, that we should wait till the process runs its course and then get involved. And I think it's the same thing that we need to be mindful of when we look at the Lewes art project of putting something on a lot somewhere. We also need to be, aware of the commission, commission, and do whatever we've got to do to get that to happen. So we can learn a lot from this, I think.
So it sounds as though it's agreed that we're going to talk about it next time.
Yeah.
And I think if the Reverend puts it on the agenda, and it sounds as though there's a good deal of support for that.
Yeah.
And Miss Charlotte is unmuted. She had her hand raised. She has something in the chat, but she had her hand raised, so I think she wanted to speak.
Okay.
Hi.
Hello.
Can you hear? Wait.
Yes, we can hear you.
Can you? Jim, maybe you can correct this. I thought January is pretty late to be talking about the wheel when, unless we have the decision changed, we have to move the wheel in January. That discussion should have been before this commission last month. As a matter of fact, this is one of the most significant issues in terms of unresolved issues about African-American history. And I was hoping that this commission, your commission, would have taken a much more visible, vocal stand by now. Now, perhaps that they can't be since you're a part of the city. But to me, the whole legitimacy of this committee is based on where you go with this wheel. And January is pretty late. Jim, aren't you under orders to move the wheel in January?
Yes, the letter that was shared with the members of this commission, we have been instructed by the city to remove it in 60 days. And so that 60 days, actually, I believe it's the 18th of January would be the deadline.
Right. I mean, we made some very good noise or good trouble when we wanted to get our streets renamed. And I hope that the commission or the citizens will do the same kind of strategy towards the wheel. The wheel is unbelievably significant. And I think that it is worth this commission, whether you can do it visibly or whether you can gather your previous supporters that brought you into existence to take up the cause of making sure that the wheel stays where it is. And that we all learn more about the history of it, including the naysayers who only see it as something that is not attractive out of their kitchen window.
Well, I'm under the impression that this is what it's all about. You know, if we're talking about history, you don't have to go back into the 1800s, even the early 1900s, but if you can think 50, 60 years ago, when this all was in action, I think that is history. And I think if you are not careful, you will, people that doesn't know anything about it, would try to put it on the back burner. But I believe that this is something I can tell you from 1953, when I came to Delaware, I was involved with a lot of people that was involved with this net reel. And so there's a lot of information that we can give you, but I think if it's history, it's history. And you just don't go around going into something as important as that and saying, well, we put it on the back burner, either we'll just forget about it and move it somewhere else. I think that's what the historical science should be about. And so if necessary, we should be able to move forward and not just keep putting it back.
So are we gonna
My
talk
only
about
point
it
is
next
that-
meeting?
My
Let
only
me-
point is that you all are late in acting on this, and please don't wait till January.
This is not on our agenda, was what we said at least 8 minutes ago, was that this wasn't on the agenda, but that we will put it on the agenda next month.
Let me just say this, is that the commission has always supported that the reel stay where it is. We are on video. We have documented in our minutes that that's what the commission has always supported, the reel. So I'm not sure where it's saying that we've not been supportive. We have, and we will continue to do that. In fact, the letters that have been received were, I know Reverend McCafferty and myself have received letters, and we are, handing them out and, asking people to write and send information in and sign it. So just for the record, we have always been supportive of the reel and keeping it where it is. And I think Reverend Edwards has also said that and stated that numerous times.
Right. And Reverend
So
Edwards answering that.
We'll advocate for you.
Right. And please know that I was not insinuating that you have not expressed that it is not on record.
Jim, if I can ask a question, what are the possibilities that we can get this to the point that we can get this thing stopped until we are able? I mean, I thought about do we try to do an early meeting in January, a call meeting, an emergency meeting? I'm just wondering, get some thought from you. I know you're very involved in this. Tell me what could be a next step for us if there is such a thing.
Well, I would imagine that if this commission felt it necessary, and Anne Marie, correct me if I'm wrong, But if you wanted to reschedule or to move forward your January meeting, I think you could do that.
Yes, you have the ability. If you want to choose a separate meeting date, you could do that. We need to post the agenda at least a week ahead. But the question is, what type of action would you be looking to take? Because the commission doesn't have any zoning authority, and even council does not have authority to overturn the decision of the H Park. So it's really a process issue of the H Park has made a decision. There is a path that comes out of that if you disagree with that decision as the applicant, and that path is to do an appeal to the Board of Adjustment, or they could reapply to H Park.
Right.
So right now it's in limbo because council does not have the authority in the zoning ordinance to overturn an H Park decision. Their decisions are binding H Park. And at this, and no reapplication has been made to H Park, nor has an appeal been taken to the Board of Adjustment. So I think if you're going to discuss how to support the real, you need to know what you would be doing to support the real, because we have to follow the laws that govern zoning.
Now, Anne Marie, does that mean that at the next meeting that this commission could not just show a unanimous support and to send a letter or to put their already stated a support for the real, its current location, to put that into a formal letter? Is that not possible?
They could, but to what end? Because even mayor and council do not have the authority to overturn the H Park decision.
Anne Marie, another way of responding to that is, Jim, whom would the letter go to?
Right.
It would be pointless to send it to the council.
Right.
It would not be pointless for the commission to send it to LHS, urging them to resubmit.
Except that the issue, as you know, is the concern about the zoning and of the specifications of what does go before H Park and what does not go before H Park, and whether
why did the LHS not appeal to the Board of Adjustment on that point?
Yeah,
well,
exactly.
it's still in process.
Okay.
Well, I think
But
what are we
Go
supposed
ahead.
to do in the meantime? That's where I'm confused, having served on that commission before. I just feel that that's not our job as a commission to get in the middle of this legal stuff. I agree with what all of you said in terms of supporting the Manhattan artifact and really spreading the word about our history in the Manhattan industry. But I think we have to also pay attention to, what our zoning code is in this city. We can't just go, oh my gosh. I mean, that's not going to help.
I mean, if I can say something, I spent some time the other day. I just walked around the real, and boy, it's a pretty big structure there. And I know that it could not have been put there. I don't quite understand it. I guess maybe you say, well, we're not supposed to be discussing this, but I walked around there and boy, I look at the work and things that have been, I guess I'm just amazed at how we get to this point. How long has it been there? Anybody know?
I don't really know.
How many years has it been there?
It's not been a year. You mean
It's been less than a year.
Less than
Okay, less than a year. But I mean, it wasn't. I mean, it couldn't have just been a situation where one morning we got up and it was there. So had to be some thought put into something of that size, and I'm simply amazed. I am, and I know you said, well, you're out of order. We're not supposed to be. When I really look at the history of Lewes, Delaware, when I look at people migrating from the South, seeking with dignity, with jobs and that thing. I walked the other day, I saw there was a schoolhouse and a store, all the things that make good communities. And I'm simply amazed that someone feels that it doesn't belong when you look at the Manhattan industry and what it meant and has brought to Lewes, Delaware. I'm simply amazed. And I know that maybe we feel that maybe this isn't our thing. We shouldn't be involved. But well, there have been a lot of things in America done, and if good folks didn't step up and say it was their thing, then we it'd be much of the same. And I'm just wanting folks to know, when I look at that and I look at what that industry meant to this town, I look at the IGA store, Rickerson Ramsey's. I talked to someone about that the other day, and they had a commissary down there as a result of the Manhattan industry. There's just so much history, and well, I would hope some good heads would prevail and look at this, and look at this with some integrity. I really do believe that, and look at this with not devaluing what's important.
I will say this, that if we're talking about history and we're trying to do something in Lewes, I can understand who would be against giving you time to work this out. We are trying to work now with the town. We're trying to work with people by saying it's not their permanent, you say, but why want to rush and move it in January when we're trying to do something legal to keep it there? Well, then if it stay there another couple of months, it can't hurt anything. And we are working on it. It's not that we're just saying it's there now and we're through with it, but we are saying that give us time to get the opinion of the people or get the support we need, and open the support. And if we can do that, I don't think the town should be, whomever it is, they're trying to rush to move it by January. Wait until the spring of the year. Wait until March or April or May, and if we're not doing anything by then you make your decision what you want to do. But I think that you should you have this historical society. You also have the African American that you're trying to work with here, and we're just getting started. I don't see why we cannot wait, whomever it is that wants to move this forward so fast or so quick, without waiting until we get it something legal.
Let me explain the letter. The H Park met the beginning of September, and that's when they heard the application. That's when they took action. The notice of action was sent to LHS in late September. There has not been an appeal. There has not been any new application filed. So
Jim,
please let me finish. Jim, please.
On that, what is the time frame? What is the time frame? What are the restrictions on reapplication?
Let's
Jim,
talk.
Let me just explain.
Jim, let's go. Okay, let's go.
So there was late September, the decision was issued. There had been no contact. So November 18th, our building official, in consultation with the solicitor, said, we haven't had any movement. There hasn't been an appeal. There hasn't been any action. And that's when that letter came out to say you have 60 days. Because yes, I absolutely agree that if we're working toward resolution, then you can extend the time frame, and that makes absolute sense. But from the perspective of the building official, he hadn't heard anything from LHS. There hadn't been an appeal, there hadn't been a reapplication, there hadn't been any discussion.
There had been the submission of our lawyer's letter questioning the legality of the zoning as stated. That was submitted. Now, that was submitted before the letter because your letter came second. To that, I asked you a question as answer for the commission. What is the stated in print as record? What is the calendar for response to an H part, whether it be reapplication? What's the limitation? Please point that out.
I don't know that because I don't have the
Because
code in
it
front of
doesn't
me.
exist.
Anne Marie, I think it's
I
been
thought we
suggested.
were going to talk about this meeting because it's not on our agenda. It's been over half an hour now.
Well,
We
I
talked
think
more
we're
about
talking
this
about
and
it because we are talking about it now, and I think at this point that's a moot point. We are in it, so we need to just.
Sorry, but this is going crazy as far as I'm concerned.
Okay.
We're still talking about whether to talk about it.
Right.
Right.
We're talking about not talking about it.
I think January. I think.
No, we're not. No, we're not.
But
We're
to Reverend Edwards' point, I just want to, if there was a clear, this is what is being done to try to resolve the issue, if that were happening, then I think that the city would be able to grant an extension, and that would be done through Robin Davis. I understand that their attorney sent a letter, but an appeal of the zoning ordinance does not go in a letter to the code official or to the mayor and council or to the African American Heritage Commission. It goes to the Board of Adjustment, and that has not happened.
Okay, so
Right.
excuse me, Anna Marie, is that what we need to do?
We don't need to do that.
No, hold on. Is that what needs to be done by somebody?
He knows
But
he's
Lewes
saying
Historical
that's what they
Society.
need to do.
I'm sorry?
The Lewes Historical Society needs to do that, not us.
Okay, fine,
Not
and that's
us.
fine. Then let's let the Lewes Historical Society get on it.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay. We're okay.
Yep.
But we need to get on it. That's what we need to do. And again, good folks, I still believe now that we've got enough good folks here and that we can work this out. And we need to get on. We need to get this letter done. And you said the Lewes Historical Society needs to do it. So be it. But let's do it. That's what we need to do.
Let them do it. So when they do,
that's fine. But
then
let's,
we can do our thing.
I agree, Ms. Rachel, that they have to do it.
Okay.
We agree that they have to do it, but we want to support them in doing it.
We sure do.
Right. So if a reapplication is made, then for this commission to put together a statement about the importance of the real and African American heritage, and even Reverend Edwards talk about using, being part of that when he was a young man coming to Delaware. I think that I think that you can make a compelling statement. My concern is that it be, to Mr. Morgan's point, directed to the right body, because sending it to mayor and council when they don't have the authority to overturn the decision isn't going to resolve it.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Makes a lot of sense, and I think we need to, like yesterday, get this letter to whom it needs to go to. And I do. I really do.
Mr. Abbott, do you think that would be an appropriate step to, you may have already done it, I don't know, to get the letter off to that body and then have our commission support you in that
There
as
are
far as
Right. There are
For you.
actions in process, but Trina, absolutely, this is what we had initially asked the commission for, was a letter of support, a statement of support. And I know it's been stated in past meetings on record, but that's what, because in reality, if it comes down to H Park, if H Park is honoring, is recognizing the historical significance, I think that this commission, which addresses the historical contributions of the African American community to the Lewes narrative, they should be able to voice or to submit a statement of support for that application.
So when will you be able to tell us if you're going to go before the Board of Adjustments or if you're going to submit a different application to the H Park? When will we know that?
That will be before the January meeting, certainly.
Well, do you know when? I mean,
I don't know.
because I think we could schedule a special meeting once they decide that, but until they decide what's going to happen, we can't do anything. So that's all I'm saying.
We can submit maybe just a letter, a vote of a letter of support for you going before, I guess, the Board of Adjustment or whatever you're going to.
Well,
the body
it isn't. You've already gone on record, but it is the letter of support for the real, for its historical significance, and its location.
But,
and that's already in the records. I mean, Trina, you already mentioned it. It is.
But in order for us to vote on a letter, doesn't it have to be on our agenda?
Well, and we're back to the agenda, and it could be certainly.
Well, of course we're back to the agenda.
Right. So it's one thing to talk about something that's not on the agenda. It's a whole different thing to act on something not on the agenda.
Yeah,
So I agree that if you're going to take any action, it needs to be put on the agenda for action.
We're not above the law here, guys.
And again,
No
if you want to schedule
if
you want to schedule a meeting earlier in January, you can do that. I mean, I don't think there's a problem. We just need to make sure that we check the calendar so we don't conflict with other meetings. We can only do one Zoom at a time.
Right.
Well, we need to check the calendar because it seems like that we need to reschedule a special meeting. This is worth, in my opinion, this is worth a special meeting. It really is.
Well, we need to know first if the Lewes Historical Society makes their decision about where they're going next, then we can schedule a meeting because then we will know who to write the letter to.
But
So,
why can't?
I thought we already know who to write the letter to.
Excuse me?
Don't we already know who should write the letter?
No, we don't know if it's going to go back to the commission or if it's going to go before Board of Adjustment, because the Lewes Historical Society, hasn't made it public yet what they're going to do next.
But a letter can also be written as to whom it may concern. A letter can be addressed to the entire community. A letter does not have to be to one specific person or a board. And that's why I'm a little confused as to why you're saying you need to know what the Historical Society is doing. You've already gone on record. You just put it in writing.
I mean, why can't we know what you're doing? I don't get that either. Is that a secret or something? I mean, I don't know. I just am really concerned. I guess because I've been a part of this process in the city, and I'm just concerned that our commission goes, above the law and does something that is not correct when it's in writing and everything is put there, and then we just go, oh well, we didn't know. I don't think that should be our position. Our position should be that we write a letter to whoever they're going to go before in support of you know, the Manhattan net.
I,
That's all.
I do think that, I do think that if
Do you
you,
think that a special meeting could be held to, could be scheduled? And I don't agree with Miss Rachel that it has to go to a special person. I agree with Jim that it can be just a letter of support. But, and I don't think it has to go to anyone in particular other than that we support the Manhattan Reel being remaining in its area. But I agree that we have to put it as an agenda item.
Absolutely.
I don't
Absolutely.
necessarily
agree
agree. We have to wait until January. We can do it in a week and a half after, you know, after Christmas, to have a special meeting just to agree and vote that that's what we're going to do. It doesn't take much to do that.
No, but here's the thing. First of all, I think if we were as individuals, we can write it to whom it may concern. I think as a commission, we need to direct it to where it's going to be.
Why?
Just a
What's
second,
the
just
difference?
a second, where it's the most powerful. So I think once the Lewes Historical Society decides where they're gonna go, then we'll have that'll take them over a month to get that to actually happen, because then you have to schedule it, just like we have to do with our agenda items. So we will have time to have a meeting or a special meeting. And I think at that point, once they make that decision, then we either schedule a special meeting, or we, on our January 22nd, write put together a letter at that point to where it needs to go. That's what I think.
I would like to ask one question. That is, someone made a decision to set a date to have the reel removed, right?
Correct.
Right, it was 60 days. Yeah.
So if you're saying someone had to make a decision to say the reel would be moved within 60 days, the same organization or the same person that made that decision, why can't it be changed? If you know we're working on this, you could say, give us a couple of months longer than that. It doesn't have to be the 60 days that you're talking about. If you made that decision, you can make another decision to say that we'll extend the time and to give us a chance to bring it up in our January meeting. I have a decision made during that time, instead of just saying, you made a decision that it has to be moved.
But
And
that's
that's not a law that tells you that.
That's for LHS to do. I mean,
Well, whomever did it, they can change. If they made that decision, they can make another decision.
no, but I mean, the reason, Reverend Edwards, the reason they said that is because they hadn't heard back from Lewes Historical
That is
Society.
incorrect. The
As to
city
what they
did
were
hear
gonna
from
do.
us. The city had heard from us. That
Well,
is
not about what
incorrect.
you're gonna do, not about the action that you're gonna take.
And Reverend Edwards.
Yes, sir.
Anne Marie, can I ask a question, please? Anne Marie, so who you said should not send it to the council, right?
Right.
Anne-Marie?
Council,
Right.
yeah,
So-
council cannot override that decision.
Okay, so who are the other bodies?
So it really depends on what LHS decides to do. If they choose
Decides-
to resubmit to H Park, then the letter will go to
Okay.
H Park.
Okay, so go ahead.
If they
Go ahead.
choose
I'm
to
sorry.
appeal, if they choose to appeal to the Board of Adjustment, it would go to the Board of Adjustment.
Okay, so I don't, just again, in my opinion, I wouldn't think it would be, we're not secretive, so if it was to the Board of Adjustments, if it was to H Park, if it was to cancel, would there be a problem if the letter was sent to all of those that here's where we would like to go after we have this special meeting? Is that out of the question?
I don't think it's out of the question, but I'm not sure what those bodies would do with it if they don't have something pending before them. Does that make sense? If you don't have an application to respond to, they make decisions based on applications. So they wouldn't just.
So Anne Marie, so who's the application go to?
So an application to the, well,
A
actually,
reapplication.
so it would go through the building official to either the Board of Adjustment or the H Park. And what happens is when the applications come in, the building official contacts the chair of either body and lets them know there's a commission or there's an application. They have scheduled meetings. The Board of Adjustment meets every other month, the first Tuesday, and H Park meets the first Tuesday of every month. So they have specified dates, and then they will transmit the materials to the members of the commission in advance of the meeting, and then hold the meeting. And now we're doing them as we're doing everything by Zoom.
Anne Marie, to follow up the Reverend Edwards
Marie, I have a
question, if instead of having this commission schedule a special meeting, who would have the authority to extend the removal deadline until after the next regular meeting of this commission?
So I think what they could do, LHS, is to send a letter to Robin requesting an extension. And there's no reason that an extension wouldn't be granted. It's not going to be an open-ended extension, but I would expect that Robin would grant an extension.
And the other thing is, if they were to go before the Board of Adjustment, so they wouldn't be able to do it before January anyway.
They wouldn't be able to do it before March 2nd at this point.
Okay, before March 2nd.
Mm-hmm.
So we would have plenty of time at our next meeting, January the 21st, to write a letter to, if LHS has made a decision by then, to the Board of Adjustment. If they're going to do it, they're going to go before the other commission. That won't be until January either. And we could, again, we'd have plenty of time to either schedule a meeting or emergency or a special meeting in January, or to wait until January 21st at our next regularly scheduled meeting and vote on a letter and send it to, if whoever LHS has decided to, whichever route they pick to go.
Anne Marie, I just had an email or a text from Libby Owen, and she would like to speak. I'm not sure if that's possible, but
well, it's up to Reverend Edwards, since we're not talking about this. If he wants to
Reverend Edwards,
add more people to the not discussion.
Reverend Edwards, can we have Miss Libby Owen speak?
Yes, ma'am. That'll be fine.
Thank you. I'm Libby Owen, and I'm chair of the Lewes Historical Society Board of Trustees. I am very impressed with the passion of this group of people who obviously care terribly about the history of this community. I am distressed when I hear among yourselves tension, because I don't think that's going to be productive. And I think that it's very tricky. You can't assume that another organization or body is not working on a solution. And I would suggest that your idea of coming together and writing a letter of support, and it may be to whom it concerns, that can be an open letter. But I think it's very important that we all work through this together and not take, have it become a divisive issue in this community. I understand what Rachel is saying, that there is a process. And I will say we're not being secretive, Rachel. We just haven't I'm just saying we haven't gotten that far. This is a big issue for the Lewes Historical Society, and we're working on it. And we're working on it on many different levels. So I would suggest two things. Number one, somebody raised the issue that at your last 2 meetings, you wanted to take some action and you were told you couldn't because there wasn't an attorney at your meeting. I think you should request to have a city attorney at your next meeting so that you can, in fact, do something that the city says is legal. And then I think you should, as a body, make your decision as far as if you're going to put in writing what you have stated in your meetings as far as supporting the net reel where it is. Thank you very much for letting me share my thoughts.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Libby.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you. So with that, if we can move forward, I guess you would say we'll have something together by the next meeting, right?
Yeah.
Next meeting,
And I
January
will
the
make
20th.
sure, I'll make sure that we have legal counsel available. I did not invite legal counsel tonight because it was not on the agenda.
Right.
Okay.
Wonderful. With that said, anything else that we should discuss again? Well, it's 25 minutes after 7. Now, the next meeting will be January the 21st, 2021, right?
Mhm.
All right, so we're ready to adjourn. If all minds are clear, we can consider ourselves as being adjourned.
Thank you.
Good night. Have a wonderful
Everybody.
holiday.
Holidays.
Yeah.
Merry Christmas.
Merry
Merry
Christmas.
Christmas, Merry
Happy
Christmas
New
to all,
Year.
and Happy New Year.
Stay safe and healthy.
Yeah. Yeah. All right.
Yes, please stay healthy and well.